So today we have the pleasure of hearing from Mr. Philip Bennett. Philip Bennett is the manager of education. He's the manager of education and community volunteers at the Alzheimer's Association. He's been with the Alzheimer's Association since 2013. And he is dedicated in working in diverse communities and providing resources to those affected by dementia. Through his work at the Alzheimer's Association, he has educated more than 10,000 people on Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia. He is a graduate of Roosevelt University, an active member of the Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity, and also my wonderful husband. So with that, let's go ahead and welcome Mr. Philip Bennett.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Janelle. Oh, man. So let me see here. All right. So looks like everyone could see me. Thank you for the introduction, Ms. Janelle Bennett. I'm always glad to be here and speaking to you all. I do want to go ahead and share my screen just for the sake of time and not taking up too much time if anyone has to leave. Give me 1 second here. I promise since COVID, I am better with technology. I promise I am. It may not look like it right now, but I am. Go ahead. There.
All right. We can see your screen, so that's good.
All right. There we go. Okay. So today I want to talk about some of the things that we do have at the Alzheimer's Association, the resources that we have, but also how you can also make a difference in your community as well, in the community that you serve. All right, so here is some facts about Alzheimer's disease, some of our facts and figures, and I just kind of want to touch on this first. Some of the things that I often talk about when we're doing our education presentations are the things that are affecting us in staggering numbers. So we can look here at this, and I'll make sure that I share this with Janelle so that she can share these slides with you all as well. But they talk about the numbers that affect us heavily. So 1 in 3 seniors die with Alzheimer's or another dementia. Over 11 million Americans provide unpaid care for people with Alzheimer's or other diseases. So just thinking about these numbers always push me to make sure that I'm being more effective in the community and doing more and make sure that I'm providing as many resources as I could to those in need. Quite often people do ask me questions like, what's the difference between Alzheimer's and dementia? And I like to talk about it in this way. So breaking it down to say that, well, dementia is a decline in your cognitive functions. So it's a decline in your thinking abilities. And there's over 70 types of dementias. Alzheimer's is the most common form of dementia that we hear about or talk about, but there's over 70 types of dementias. These are just a few types of the dementias. Alzheimer's is a dementia, is an umbrella term for loss of memory and other kind of abilities severe enough to interfere with daily life. So it affects your memory, your thinking, as well as your behavior, but it also affects mobility, vision, hearing, smelling, all type of things like that. If you can think about your 5 senses, most definitely, that's the area that it affects. But a few forms of dementia, of course, is Alzheimer's. Many of us have heard of vascular dementia. There's Lewy bodies, which is similar to Parkinson's in a way. Frontal temporal dementia, which means the frontal lobe of the brain is affected by dementia. And others including Huntington's disease and mixed dementia. And mixed dementia pretty much means that you can have 2 or more forms of dementia. So you can have frontal temporal dementia as well as Alzheimer's. So here, healthy behaviors for your brain. So of course you want to think of things that you could do to reduce the risk of developing Alzheimer's or some other form of dementia. And these are a few of those steps that we talk about and that we encourage people to do. So one, of course, is exercise. So having healthy behaviors and healthy habits in place, it can definitely help to lower the risk of developing Alzheimer's. I like to tell people that if you have a brain, then you pretty much are at risk, but you can lower the risk of developing it by creating healthy habits for yourself. So exercising, eating healthy, getting a good night's sleep. That's important, although we don't think about that a lot. Um, heart health, quit smoking, as well as protect your head. And a lot of times people will say, well, you know what, how does protect your head, how is that linked to Alzheimer's or some form of dementia? A lot of times I think about traumatic brain injury or different sports that people play, like contact sports. We can think of football, for example. We can think about concussions and different things like that. That raises the risk of developing some form of Alzheimer's or dementia. So the Alzheimer's Association, we are focused on being diverse and making sure that everyone has an equal opportunity to the different drugs that are out there to help with the symptoms of Alzheimer's, as well as the information that is out there to learn more about Alzheimer's and how you can help yourself. So we like to focus on we have a heavy focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And this is just a nice little snapshot of that right here. So how we can help, we have something that's called the 24/7 helpline. All right. I used to work on the 24/7 helpline. I was an information specialist, but the Alzheimer's Association 24/7 helpline is available around the clock 365 days a year. Though this free service, uh, through this free service, specialists and master level clinicians offer confidential support and information to people living with dementia, caregivers, family, and the public. Something that I can say about the 24/7 helpline is many times people will call in and they'll discuss some things that's happening to them or they'll have questions. And I do realize most times a lot of people don't want answers. A lot of times you just hear people want to vent and talk about their day or how this has affected them, how it has been taking care of mom and how it was a tough time getting mom to sleep, tonight, different things like that. So um other opportunities that we have and ways that we can help is free education programs. So all of our education programs are free. Uh, Find dementia and age-related resources that connect individuals facing dementia with local programs and services at our website, which is alz.org. Okay, so we also have another program here where we work with AARP. So the Alzheimer's Association and AARP, we connect and we have a online portal called the Community Resource Finder. So through the Community Resource Finder, you can get easy access to resources in your community. So you would go to this website here, Community Resource Finder, and you put in your zip code and you can search for things like transportation for people with dementia. You can search for specialists like a neurologist or a geriatrician. You can also search for assisted living facilities, in-home care, different things like that, education programs. You can find all of these things in your community. So with connecting with our community, the association, some services are the 24/7 helpline, care consultations where you get to speak with the master level counselor, education programs where we come out in the community and talk about uh, different forms and different ways of dementia as far as how to help caregivers, which leads me to support programs. So we have support groups. We also have early stage support groups, and this is for people who are in those earliest stages of the disease. Safety services. One thing that we haven't really talked about or that's not listed up here is Silver Alert. So Silver Alert, sometimes you may see that and may not even notice as you're driving on the expressway, and you may see a sign on one of those digital billboards, and it may provide you with the name of a with the make and model of a vehicle and the color and different things like that. And it may say that they're looking for a senior or an endangered senior. That is Silver Alert. And that is an initiative that we use to work with the state to find um, seniors who have Alzheimer's or some form of dementia and may have wandered or could be driving and have gotten lost. Okay. Another thing we do is our faith outreach initiatives. So with our faith outreach initiative, we do our best to work with faith-based organizations like churches, mosques, um, different faith-based organizations, pretty much. And we want to make sure that we are educating everyone, but we want to make sure that we're being respectable to their religious beliefs as well. So we are making sure to be inclusive about that. Um, Healthcare initiatives, direct connect, meaning that we can actually pair you with one of our master level consultants. And one of the consultants can help you and your family to create a plan that is specific for you and your family. We do have special events that we have as well, like the Walk to End Alzheimer's and the Longest Day. So those are our annual events, and you may start to see some of those as you drive around Chicago. You may see billboards or different things like that. And if anyone is interested, please feel free to reach out to me. These are some of our impact statements that we hear a lot from people who want to volunteer with us. So I'm just going to read about two of them here, but we may hear things like, "I wish I knew about the I wish I knew the Alzheimer's Association existed when I was on my journey." Another one says that I want to volunteer for respected organizations with high impact. So these are just different reasons why people decide to volunteer. What I want to introduce to you right now on this slide is that there is a way where you can help us to fight Alzheimer's disease as an individual, as an organization, as well as, for yourself or you and your family. So you can share your personal story as an advocate for Alzheimer's, uh, as an advocate or Alzheimer's Association representative. So a lot of times we ask people to share their stories with us. We do take these stories to the capitals in Springfield to get bills pushed through and different things like that. You can also start a walk team and join the Walk to End Alzheimer's, as well as um, um, you and your family can start a walk team, as well as help us to link to places like your church or community centers or YMCA, different things like that where we can promote Alzheimer's awareness. So if you would like to make a difference today or become a volunteer, this is the website that you can sign up at alz.org. What's that, /volunteers. And that pretty much concludes my presentation. Let me go ahead and stop sharing and see if there's any questions.
Thank you so much, Phil, for that very in-depth and educational video, letting us know what all you all offer.
Thank you. Thank you.
I actually have one quick question, and that is, you mentioned sort of people can reach out. What kind of more in-depth support can someone get? I just actually had a call as the meeting started from someone who is caring for a spouse who is well advanced, although they don't have an official diagnosis yet. They're sort of on that early part of the journey of, figuring out what it is, but wants to know what kind of specific things she can, do to connect. And because she has to go back to work essentially and has to figure out how does she cope with it? Because she basically said, I can't leave my husband alone.
Right. That's a great question. And that is Unfortunately, a hard decision, and I would say that it'd be best to speak with someone from our 24/7 helpline so that they can help you to guide you. You know, you can get more in depth about the situation, and what's going on. And sometimes we have to hear those hard um, we have to hear those hard answers where we actually may have to put our loved one in, an assisted living, facility or something like that because it may be safe or best for them. I don't want to answer that because I don't know the full story. But I think what will also be good is to speak to the 24/7 helpline about a list of questions that you can ask the physician or the neurologist that they may be seeing. So they can email you or mail you out a list of questions to ask the physician to make sure that you are pretty much on track and with everything that's going on and everything that you need to know for next steps.
Great, thank you. That's really useful.
Philip, this is Darlene. Can you hear me?
Hey, how's it going, Darlene?
Fine, thank you. I was on the phone earlier with someone that will be here next week, and he happened to mention that his mother-in-law is in the early stages of Alzheimer, but they still have her in living on her own, and he's double checking on her randomly to make sure she's okay. And they were totally unaware that she had any dementia issues until someone found her wandering on the street.
Wow.
And they were kind enough to help her contact family members. So that's how they first became aware. I guess my question to you is there any forms or any steps that a family should take to make sure if a member wanders out or happens to go on their own somewhere and get lost, that they can have on their person so that people will be able to contact family members?
That is a great question. So I think a lot of times people think about the life alert button or things like that. But there's actually a bracelet. I can't think of the name of it right now. But if they were to call the 24/7 helpline, they will be able to give them the information and how to register for that, where your loved one would have something on them where if they get lost, they call the police and let them know the situation, and they will give them this tracking number that the person will have on them, and they'll be able to reconnect them with their family. I think with all the technology that we have now, there definitely should be something better as far as like some type of monitor that beeps or different things like that. I know they tried it with the phones once, but the person would leave the phone. They tried it with uh, like different buttons that you can put on, but somehow those buttons will get ripped off before the other buttons. And I think that's probably the senior savvy way of, making sure they're not found or not tracked in a way. But yeah, that's the way that seems to have been working pretty well, where there's like a bracelet or a necklace that the person wears, and there is like a code on there or some numbers embroidered on there, and the police connects that person back with their family.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Did I answer your question fully?
Yes, you did. Thank you.
No problem. Yeah.
Hi,
See?
Philip. Hi, Philip. This is Diane Yarbrough.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, thank you. So, my question is the 24-hour hotline. Is it just not basically, but is it a hotline that takes care of all issues with regards to people and with regards to the person that has the disease as well as the family member? Does it help the
Yes.
family member as well?
Yes. So this is they cater the 24/7 helpline caters to anyone who is affected by the disease. So you can have the disease, you can be a family member who wants to call in, you can be a neighbor who wants to call in and just want to say, hey, I think my neighbor may be suffering from this. Is there any steps that I can take, to make sure they're safe? So yeah.
They also have information about studies.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you for saying that. So we do have something that's called Trial Match. And with Trial Match, pretty much we match people with trials. Um, they'll create a profile on our website. And there's different trials that they'll try to match you with based off of your profile. So there may be studies for someone who only have diabetes. There may be studies for someone who may not be a meat eater, not a carnivore or something like that, who may be a vegetarian or so. So there's different studies, and what we do is we try to match people with those studies. I do know that before in the past, we were even working on flying people out to different cities for even trials. Not sure if we're still doing that, but yeah, so there is a trial match though, just to answer that question.
Thank you.
I see we have a few questions in the chat, and we also had a hand raised. So I want to answer those questions in the chat, and then Stefan, I know your hand was raised, so then we'll go to you. So Renee asked, is the Alzheimer's Association still doing advocacy days where we can attend and go to Springfield?
That is a great question, Renee. So we have Advocacy Day every April. The past few years we haven't went because of COVID, of course, but we are looking to definitely start that back up. So this April, I do believe we will be going to Springfield, and we will be discussing pretty much pushing different bills that will pretty much cater to helping people who are suffering from Alzheimer's.
Awesome. Thank you. It's glad to hear that. I missed those. I was looking forward to attending those again.
Yeah. I think the last bill that we got pushed through was to make sure that everyone every facility that said they had a dementia floor, the people who worked on that floor had to be dementia certified. So we are diligently working to help those who are suffering from this disease.
Thank you. That's good news. So can you let us know, because April's around the corner, like what we can do to sign up for those advocacy days?
Absolutely.
We have a group that goes down there. That would be great. So our next question is from Nicole Righty. She says, how many types of dementias can an individual have at one time? That's a great question, Nicole.
Yeah, that is a great question. So this will fall in the category of mixed dementia, meaning that you can have several forms, or two or more forms of dementia at the same time. Or sometimes that can lead to Alzheimer's, or some form of dementia, like Parkinson's usually leads to some form of dementia, because Parkinson's, it stops the dopamine, I believe. I hope I'm saying this correctly. Yeah, from producing in the center of the brain. So then it causes it to become dementia. But I'm kind of getting a little off track there. But yeah, you can have multiple forms of dementia at once.
I think Nicole's want to know exactly how many at one time. So does dementia mean just two or more? And
yeah, I would say two or more, or even go so far as saying several at once. I don't think that there's a particular number. I have heard people having Alzheimer's and vascular dementia at the same time, or they'll have Huntington disease and Alzheimer's at the same time. So I haven't seen more than two, but I'm pretty sure that is possible.
okay, thank you. And I'd also like to highlight that Renee posts in the chat the link for the medic alert. You just look through the chat at the time of 2:27. That's when she posted, because I know we have a few other things in the chat, but it's fairly low down there, so it should be easy to find. I will also make sure to post that link in the follow-up email. And then Stefana, you had your hand raised, and then we have Stephanie Bailey next with the question.
Yes, Philip, I have a question. My question is, what would you suggest to a family whose loved one is wandering and they've tried the emergency bracelets and the individual just takes the bracelet off because, they don't think it's theirs? So what could you suggest to maybe, to help with that?
Great question. So I think there are several steps that you can take, and it really would take going more in depth about the person's living situation as well, like how they're getting out to wander. For example, my grandmother would wander, And what we would have to do was put a curtain over the door. And for her, it was like out of sight, out of mind. In a sense, she would walk past the curtain as if it wasn't there. Before they, I know my aunt had an alarm on the door, and she would get right past the alarm. Like the alarm would go off sometime, and she would already be gone. Um, there are other things too that they have as well as far as locks. See, I don't know if the person is kind of sneaking away or if they're able to be independent but then wander. But for the situations where a person sneaks out and gets out of the home, yeah, that's something that my grandmother used to do, and we would put a curtain over the door. But there's definitely many techniques and different things that you could take. And I think speaking with one of our master level counselors at the 24/7 helpline would be beneficial.
Okay, thank you. And also, concerning the silver alert, if the person does not drive, would that still be something that a family could use, or, if they got lost and they had just walked away?
I think that, yeah, it would probably be another form. It probably just, I want to say Silver Search is specifically for people who drive. But there are ways for, there is a protocol for helping people who just wander, who just walk off and get lost as well. And the Alzheimer's Association works with the local police to do that, as well as the state police. I'm sorry, the local and state police, to find your loved one. And I do believe that they do post that on the Silver Search boards as well. I'm not sure. I'm sorry about that. But what I can do is I can find out and I can send that information to you.
Thank you.
I see in the chat, we have some really good ideas on what you can do to help it with wandering. So I do want to point those out. And then Stephanie Bailey, we will answer your question. So Dr. Levine says that they put a woman's room sign on the back of her grandfather-in-law's front door. So then that was like, of course, he's not going to go in a woman's restaurant, right? And as well as you can put a stop sign that might help, because everyone kind of recognizes that, even if you can't spell out the words, when you see that red, I think that's an octagon, then that means stop. And then Dr. Thompson says that she had a patient who was wandering and whose family put a black rug in front of the door, and the patient stopped going because she thought it was a hole in the ground and she thought that she would fall in. So there's no right or wrong way is what that shows. You can get very creative, savvy, and do what would work for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so thanks for sharing. Those are some funny but good ideas. All right, Stephanie Bailey.
Thank you. I really like those creative ideas. That's really cool. It's kind of along the lines with that, and you may have mentioned this, Philip, in that presentation. Thank you. This is such great info. I have heard or seen people have little, almost like a business card that they can hand someone, the caregiver. It's sometimes a little bit of a relief for them if they're in the grocery store and their person is, bringing up odd topics or, being a little bit difficult in the grocery store, or something they can hand someone else that says, hey, I am caring for my mom or my spouse, and this person has dementia, and please just bear with us, and, let me know if you have any questions, because they may not be able to understand what you're saying, or something like that. Is that something that people just kind of create on their own, or does the Alzheimer's Association create anything?
Both.
Okay.
Yep. I actually, as soon as you said that, I actually looked at my desk and realized, oh, I have some of these, and I do pass them out at the events that I speak at, or bring them to caregiver support groups. So that is a great question too. Or sometimes you'll see someone with a sign as well. I've seen people in the grocery store with signs on there that ask people to be patient with me. I'm a person with Alzheimer's and may require some extra time. I do have those. Right now, we are currently moving our office. So we're going to be in our home office downtown, and then another portion of us will be in Laos, Illinois. in Lau, Illinois. So a lot of things are packed away. But what I can do is I can mail some of these to the Share Network and have them to, you know, uh, give these out to you guys as needed.
Is it possible, that's a great idea, and we can do that as well, but is it possible that someone can call that 24/7 line, or that even there's a place online, like on your website, where someone can order them to be mailed? Is that possible?
That is possible as well. Yep. So in fact, if you call the 24/7 helpline, they can get that out to you. That is, yep, great. Um, yeah, that is definitely a possibility there.
Okay, well, I'll make sure to put that in the follow-up email. But for now, Philip, can you post in the chat, like the number to the 24/7 helpline and any other information that would be pertinent for people to use in between now and the time I send out that follow-up email?
Yes, I can definitely do that. And I also I'm going to put a link in the chat as well that you all can use. And you can use this link to um, get resources and different publications that will assist you will assist caregivers. So yeah, some of it may be talking about bathing and how to get my loved one to eat and different things like that. So I'll make sure that I put that in the chat now.
Okay. And I also see in the chat, Nicole Righty says that they have cards very similar, but for Parkinson's disease, and can use them at the mall or different places. So you guys can reach out to Nicole Righty for those. Dr. Levine shared that those same similar cards are at our South Shore Senior Clinic. It's right on the corner of 71st and Exchange, 7101 South Exchange to be exact. And they're open Monday through Friday from, I believe, 8:30 until 4:30. So that's another option. And then Dorothy Pytel shared that Susan Frick at Rush University, she can also send cards out. She's a part of Dementia Friendly Illinois. She's a leader of Dementia Friendly Illinois. So you all, thank you for that. I see you post the link, Phil, so thank you for that. And I will make sure to have that in the follow-up email. All those ideas will be in there. Okay, I think we had another question, but I'm not sure from who. Did I see another person pop up and raise their hand? I'm not, Chandra, was that you? Did you? No? Okay. Oh, Miss Yarborough, I see your hand is raised. So maybe that was you. I'm sorry.
I apologize. I didn't raise my hand earlier.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
It's like, where is that little thing? I wanted to ask the question about the medication. My mom is also going through this, and her primary care physician, I am just not satisfied with her or the process. And so I just want to know, who should she be seeing, a neurologist or something? I mean, what doctor should people go to, or what type of specialist, if there is such a thing, when people are going through this type of disease, if anyone knows?
Yeah, great question. Usually what I would do is I'll recommend that they see their primary care physician first, and then ask for a referral to see a specialist like a neurologist. Sometimes it only may take seeing a geriatrician or gerontologist. But with seeing a neurologist, they're able to do those a number of different tests on you, like the MRI, blood test, physical tests, and and several more tests to make sure that they weed out any other possibilities as far as things that mimic the signs of Alzheimer's. So that's who I would say, but I would definitely say start there. But it seems like that you've been there, and there's some unsatisfactory there. What I would say is contacting someone at the 24/7 helpline would be beneficial, because it's that privacy there, and you get to be a little bit more in depth about what's going on, and someone could assist you there.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Ms. Yarborough, to make sure I understood your question correctly, were you saying that your mom already has a geriatrician, or she already has a primary care doctor?
As a primary care doctor.
Okay, so I'm not for certain, but I do think maybe a geriatrician may be better suited for your mom. And we have some geriatricians on today who could probably better answer that. But I imagine because they are in that field, then they will be able to really know more about dementia and how to support you all.
Thanks, Janelle. I can add, I think Dr. Lewine's on the call as well, but a lot of geriatricians do also do primary care, and we have that at University of Chicago. Oftentimes, geriatricians and neurologists together will staff memory clinics. That's true at University of Chicago, and I believe also at Northwestern and Rush. So there's certainly options for your mom for referral around the city, depending on, your location and preference and insurance and whatnot. But I thought Phil suggested, if your primary care doctor isn't willing or able to refer you to a memory specialist, either a neurologist or a geriatrician, I thought Phil's suggestion of calling a helpline was a good one. Just, they may have some ideas for you of other places you could start looking. But in addition to that, I would say University of Chicago and Rush and Northwestern all have memory clinics. So any of those places would be a good start as well.
Thank you, Dr. Thompson. We have one other question, and then I had a question that came up. But one other question from Marnie. She says, are there any arts or musically oriented platforms and or resources that people find beneficial and of service?
Oh, okay. I think that people are always looking for alternative ways to assist their loved ones other than medicine and things like that, or medication. I think that, is it Artful Aging that Chicago Hyde Park Village does? I believe so. They do activities and things like that I see helpful. There's people who do other things as well, as far as this being like a therapy or another form versus medication. But I think, calling the 24/7 helpline, they'll have more of that in front of them where they can give you a list of different things or different options that they have.
Dr. Thompson added that University of Chicago's Memory Center has an arts program that they offer periodically for people living with dementia. So, Dr. Thompson, do you have any links to that or information further?
I'll try and find it, Janelle. I know it's not ongoing all the time. It's sort of like every now and again. So I'll see if I can find a link for you all. I'm not sure if it's currently being offered.
Okay. And go ahead,
Janelle,
Renee.
can I add to that? Yeah, just with Dr. Thompson saying, I believe that the South Shore Senior Clinic is also going to be offering the Project Unlonely come late spring. They're going to be offering that as well for individuals. So once we have more information, we can share that with all the community partners as well.
Okay. Would that be open to people living with dementia?
Yes, from my understanding. So we'll share that once we have more information.
Oh, that's going to be great. I do know also Janie Urbanik of South Loop Village and Phyllis Temple of Northwestern's Mesulam Center. That's their cognitive development center. I can't remember the full name, but Phyllis Temple and Janie Urbanik, they work together for a memory cafe that they host monthly. And I don't think either of them are on the call today, but I'll make sure to put that link in the follow-up email. And that's virtual and in person. And that is solely for those living with dementia. Okay. I see Dorothy Patel posted it in the chat. Thank you so much. So we got a few good leads there. Oh, thank you, Dr. Thompson. I see you post the Memory Center as well. So I'll make sure to add all of those in the follow-up email, which will come this week. All righty. Now, I had one last question, and then I do want to still allow time for others to share their program resources or pose any questions to the group. But Phil, could you give us just a quick list of some of those topics that are offered through the educational programs? I know a lot of people on the call, they are often looking for different educational programs.
Sure. So just a few of them to name. We do have a menu of education programs. So we'll have something like Know the 10 Warning Signs, Understanding Alzheimer's and Dementia, Understanding and Responding to Dementia-related Behaviors, Effective Communication Strategies. I think that's a great one as well, because that's when you are focused on pretty much adjusting to a new normal. And you are trying to, and you have to join someone else's reality, so the person with Alzheimer's, this is their reality, and they're not, going to come back to a normal reality. So it's about you becoming a great pretender, and, a lot of times going along with what they're saying, to kind of make them not be combative, so the point would be to have them to be a bit more calm. And telling them, hey, this is not what it is, only makes them more combative. So effective communication strategies is a great one as well. Healthy living, our healthy living program, that's also another good one that talks about lowering the risk of developing Alzheimer's. And I can go on, just trying to think of as many as I could.
No, that was a handful. Those are all really good. So you guys, if you're interested in any of those, you'll contact Mr. Philip Bennett, and he can connect you with who can serve you in that way. So I just want to, again, thank you so much, Phil, for speaking with us today. Thank you for all of your knowledge. Thank you for your time, your expertise, and thank you for the work that you passionately continue to do and how you serve the community. I know a few people on here have worked with you personally, and they can attest to just how dedicated you are and how helpful you are. So thank you.
Thank you. And please forgive me if you hear Janelle's dog barking in the background. Okay.
That's not my dog, y'all. That's his dog. But no, yes, please forgive the dog. He hears us talking and not talking to him, so that's a problem. But I'm going to shift gears a bit and open it up to the group. Does anyone have any program updates they'd like to share, or pose any questions to the group? Any other resources that you are in need of or that you would like to share with the group? Okay, I'm going to take that as a no. That's a first time. Are you guys sure?
Janelle, I just wanted to ask if anyone knows, maybe we could get information on how to actually get individuals and families to join research groups. I know in some communities, being involved in research is not something that I know communities of color typically do, for historical reasons, personal reasons, whatever reasons. So if there are any, is there any literature? Is there any thing that we could find out that would encourage them? Because joining a research group helps others, later on down the line or in the future. So if you can, if we can get some information on that, that might be helpful.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. That is needed. At least if we could have a card or flyer that can suggest, here's the benefits of you joining this research group. That's the suggestion that I can give. But does anyone know of anything out there that shares that type of information?
Well, I think that might be a good suggestion for this forum too, Janelle, for us to think about. Maybe one of our future topics, we could have an expert or someone come talk with a group and just have some resources and suggestions for everyone, because that's probably something a lot of us might be interested in hearing about. Great suggestion, Phyllis. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Great idea. I'll put that down on
the list.
Right, add that to the
and
list.
Also, one more, please. Thank you. How can we provide support or information for families and when they go to visits? The medical profession as great as it is, can be intimidating for lay people. Just even the process of completing the application sometime or the paperwork. So just a way to get families to not be intimidated by the process and to give them tips to help. Like Philip had that little card that he passes out. So if we had a card even, or created a card where they could have it, so that when you go to the doctor with your loved one, particularly those who have Alzheimer's, you could ask critical questions you know what to ask the medical professionals. Because I think that whole process can be intimidating for lay people, and particularly those who are older maybe and have not had a lot of experience, with that process. That might be something, if we could explore that in the future, Janelle.
To make sure I'm understanding correctly, are you saying for us to create or see if there is something already created that lists general questions that you can ask when you visit your geriatrician or primary doctor, but specifically for older adults?
Yes.
Oh, we can do that for you. No
Okay.
problem.
Or we
New
could,
project team, we'll
if
work on
it's
that.
out there, I don't want to recreate the wheel, but if it's out there, if we could get that. Okay. All right. Thank you. I'm done.
We can work on that.
Okay. Thank you.
Sounds great. Thank you. Dorothy Patel posed, she said that there was a great speaker about the topic of research at Northwestern's Alzheimer's Day last year, and it was a researcher from UIC. So perhaps that might be a potential speaker. So thank you for that, Dorothy. I'm gonna follow up with you afterwards to see how we can get in touch with that speaker. So thank you for suggesting that. And if you have their name, you can post that in the chat or email that to me. I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Levine here at the University of Chicago. She has a program that she'd like to tell you all about, a research study, actually.
Yeah, thanks, Janelle. Hi, everybody. I'm a geriatrician and palliative medicine doctor. I work with Dr. Thompson, and we are conducting a research study in conjunction with Rush and Central Michigan University. We're looking at recruiting people to participate in focus groups over the next couple of months. Anybody that has been working as a leader in the community, public service, social worker, anybody in clergy or healthcare provider, anybody that is some way in their profession touched people with serious illness. And so it's not really meant for family members or patients per se. This is for people that actually work with these people. And we are going to be scheduling them, like I said, over the next couple of months. They're going to be 60 to 90 minutes in length, and we'll give people a $500 electronic gift card for participation. If you're interested, there is a code here that you can use to take a picture with your phone, or I'll have Janelle send this out to the group after this to let us know if you have any interest. I think a lot of you on this call will qualify based on the conversations we've had, or certainly please pass it along to people that you know. And that's it. Anybody have any questions? Okay. Thank you. I do hope that you're interested. Really appreciate your thoughts.
Well, thank you, Dr. Levine. I see Nicole Righty said that she filled out the link this morning, so she will hope to participate. And Candice Draw says thank you for the announcement. And so, yes, you all, I shared this on Thursday or Friday, I believe. I will also share it again. If you have any questions when I share if you have any questions when I share the email that has this flyer and the link, there's also the contact in there that you can ask specific questions to.
Thank you.
A few other people said they've completed this already, so that's good.
That's great. Thank you so much.
All righty. We have another question from Dana Corral. She says, does anyone know if the gap fill service referrals are still being sent to Centers for New Horizons in Chicago? I believe Chandra Brown is still on and she can better answer that.
They are. It's just kind of moving slowly because we got an influx of new cases, but yes, they still are being sent to us directly.
Awesome. And if you have that immediately, like a link, if you can post that in the chat, that would be great, Chandra. But if not, you can email to me a flyer or a link, and I can share that with the follow-up. Any other questions, things to share?
Hello, this is Angela Lyon-Smith from Mather. I'm sorry that I don't have my camera on. I'm moving with my phone, and so it's difficult for me to put this in the chat, but I wanted to bring up that maybe Mather Institute, I'm thinking specifically of Mushira Khan, who's doing a study this year focused on African-American older adults and really views of aging well. And that it might be wonderful to have her come and speak about this study. And I know she's connecting with many different organizations. And so it came up as you were talking. And I think maybe it was Dorothy, I'm not sure, but who was sharing about importance of research. I'll try to put that in the chat, but it's Mather Institute, and I'll definitely would like to connect you with Mushira. Also, in thinking about arts programs for people who are living with dementia, there are people definitely in this group who have dementia and who are also identifying as struggling with aphasia through Northwestern's Block Museum. They're doing conversations through art in coordination with Northwestern's speech and audiology department, and going through different art pieces in the collection of Northwestern's Block Museum, and just having conversations, virtual conversations about the artwork. So it's one that I really is focused though on making space for folks who are struggling with language, and also and are identifying with dementia. And then of course with Mather, I have to amplify that we are rebuilding our creative engagement focused curriculum right now as well. So I'm very hopeful that I heard earlier about just the importance of the arts with older adults, but also with older adults who are living with dementia. So I'll try to post these things.
And Angela, if you're unable to post, I completely understand. Yeah. We understand. You can always email me. So when you email me that, I'll get it out to the group.
All right.
As soon as
Sounds
possible.
Great.
Okay.
Sounds great. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I know we are at the hour. It's 3:00 now, so I won't hold us too long. I just thank everyone for joining, for taking the time out to be with us today and to hear from Philip Bennett. So one last thank you to Phil. I think he jumped off probably to take care of the dog, but thank you, Phil, again for your time. I would like to quickly note some things that's in the chat that Dorothy Pytel has posted the chat of the UIC researcher. So you guys can take a look at that. And Ms. Darlene at Croc Center says that she thinks that Dr. Thompson did a workshop she did on talking to your doctor, and that would be very helpful. So we can just take some notes from that and create a nice handout or flyer that can be used to share with others. So thank you for that reminder, Ms. Darlene. We can definitely use those suggestions. And then I just wanted to note that a few programs we have with Share Network. One is our new Dementia Resource Champions online. Pre-pandemic, we had Dementia Resource Champions, which was in person, and it was very similar to a cohort where you would learn more information about dementia and ways that you can educate your community about it, in hopes that you will also begin a caregiver support group. If you're interested in that, we now offer that online as well, and that is open to all who have an interest in either learning more and/or creating a caregiver support group. It is completely free to participate, and that link is posted in our in the chat, as well as we also have our Share Network Virtual Dementia Caregiver Support Group. It now meets every month. It used to meet every other month, but we are going to open it up to being every month on the third Monday at 3:30 p.m. And next Monday, February 20th, will be our first meeting of the year. So we hope that some of you all and those that you support will be able to join us. Again, that flyer will be shared in the follow-up email. I see we got a few thank yous in the chat. I just want to make sure I share anything that might be missing. Okay, Chandra Brown posted that she does not have a flyer right now, but she did post the number to where you can directly talk to her or the Department of Family Support Services for that gap filling resource. So I will thank you for that, Chandra. I will make sure to have that in the follow-up email. So, all righty, our next community partner meeting is on the second Monday of March, which will be Monday, March 13th. So thank you all for joining today. We hope to see you next month and continue with the months after. Feel free to continue to share this far and wide. Those that you know can use this or be of benefit, share that. Any additional presenters that you think would be of benefit, share that as well. And I wish you all a happy Valentine's Day and that everyone stays nice and safe. You know, be well, take care. Thank you all again so much for joining.